Okay, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Rob.
Thanks for doing the show, Scott.
Yeah, pleasure. Happy to.
I've got Scott McCammon from the Milton Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
Official title?
President and CEO.
President and CEO. So, thanks for doing the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Yeah, I've seen all of my chamber buddies doing the show, so
Yeah.
I figured it was time that I had to do it too.
Thank you for doing it. I'm on the chamber circuit right now. Let's see if I can get Ian McLean next. So, Ian, if you check this out, you know I'm going to be asking.
Ian, do the show.
Do the show. Thank you. I appreciate that. Nothing like peer pressure. So yeah, I mean, there's lots to talk about in the world of business and chambers of commerce. But before we kind of get into it, for the people that don't know you, maybe you could just give the audience a little bit of an introduction in terms of, you know, where you've come from and how you got involved with the Milton Chamber and kind of what you're up to today.
Sure. So I've been around chambers of commerce for about 35 years. So I'm one of the old timers. I was actually working in the radio business in Hamilton, and we were told to get involved in the community. So I joined the Burlington Chamber and worked my way through committees, got on the board, became chair of the board, and was having so much fun doing the chamber business that when the job came open, I became the manager of the Burlington Chamber. Then I was there for 11 years and then recruited by the Ontario Chamber. So I went there as the Vice President General Manager for another 11 years.
Wow.
And then did some consulting for the Hamilton Chamber, and then Milton had an opening, so I came to Milton.
And when was that?
That was a year ago.
Okay, great. Yeah. So was it like a 1 year anniversary type of thing today? Or?
Just, a little bit past, so you don't have to get me anything.
Okay. Great. So, I mean, that's a lot of chamber experience, so like on the local levels and on the Ontario level. Maybe just touch on the Ontario piece for a little bit, because I feel like not a lot of people really understand the nature of the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. So can you give people a little bit of understanding what the Ontario Chamber is all about?
Sure. So the local chambers are members of the Ontario Chamber, so it's voluntary. The Ontario Chamber is not head office, which a lot of people think it is. So basically, we've got the Canadian Chamber, we've got the Ontario Chamber. Canadian Chamber is basically working at Parliament Hill in Ottawa.
Yeah.
The Ontario Chamber works at Queen's Park.
Gotcha.
And basically what they're doing for us is they're our eyes and ears, so they're working on things, finding out about what the issues are, telling us in advance what the issues are, what the impact might be on our members.
Right.
Then we either help them put together some of the briefing documents, some of the resolutions that'll happen in terms of lobbying the provincial government.
Right.
Or in some cases, they'll just tell us what needs to happen, and then we'll get that information out to our members.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So it's an incredibly powerful machine, if you want to call it that. The nice part about chambers is that there is a chamber in every electoral riding in Canada.
Cool.
Right. So when a politician from Ottawa or from Queen's Park goes home on Constit Day on a Friday,
right,
they will be answering to their local Chamber of Commerce. Cool. And there is no other business association that has that reach.
That's super cool. And I think that speaks a lot to this advocacy that the Chamber does. That's a lot behind the scenes in most chambers that I've seen anyway. I mean, I know certain hot topics, like one we're going to talk about in a minute, kind of brings more visibility to that type of stuff.
The way we like to describe it, is that...
No, go.
A chamber will be working on an issue behind the scenes for months or years before the public may even know about it.
Right.
Before the business community may know about it, which is different than some of our competitors. Some of our competitors will just, jump on an issue when it becomes great to make a headline in the newspaper. Right. But they haven't been working on the issue. Once it becomes public, we've either, decided that, it's something that we've shaped enough that now we can take it out and get public consultation on it. Or we're going out saying, you know what, we've done what we can, and it still is bad legislation, so now we need to fight it. Right.
So, okay, we'll get there. We're not quite yet. A bit of a hot topic, this Bill 148 thing. So before we get into that, as a leader in an organization, Chamber of Commerce, chambers kind of have this interesting dynamic inside a community, because you have a lot of stakeholders. You have the membership of the chamber itself, the broader business community,
which I call future members.
Future members, exactly. Great perspective. And just huge shout out for anybody who isn't a part of a Chamber of Commerce. So Intrigue Media is a part of more than 10 chambers of commerce.
I appreciate it.
We joined up in Guelph when we first started, and it gave us the opportunity to connect with amazing potential clients. gave us an opportunity to learn about our business and the general business landscape, and has been like integral in the growth of our company. And we've developed really strong relationships with all the chambers that we work with, and you see it here with Fred, right? And working with Milton. But I mean, I just can't speak highly enough to being parts of a chamber of commerce. And I think the biggest thing that really stands out for me, especially for a growing business, is around this idea that, if anybody's read Made to Stick, The Tipping Point, with Malcolm Gladwell, he talks about the kind of the key to getting word of mouth going is to have sneezers, connectors, and salespeople in the message, and the chamber's full of those people. And so I think it's just a great opportunity for anybody.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, is you're saying that we represent all types of businesses. There's a perception that chambers are predominantly small business.
Right.
I always say that the chamber reflects the community. So if the community is 90% small business, chances are the chamber is going to be 90% small business.
Right.
So, the chamber, if the community has predominantly manufacturers, then the chamber is going to be predominantly manufacturers. But you've always got a mix. So I always look at a chamber, and I try to dissect the membership and see, are we truly representing everything that is in the community? So if we have, like in Milton, we have a lot of warehousing distribution.
Right.
Do we have that in the membership? We do, so that's good.
Great.
If there are certain segments that are missing, then we try and develop new products that will attract membership from that segment.
Right.
So, for example, when I came to Milton, we've got all the large companies that are members and supporting us from a good corporate citizen perspective, but weren't necessarily engaged.
Right.
So I wanted to get them engaged.
Yeah, big time.
So I started a roundtable for all the HR professionals in the larger companies.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's taken off. It's one of the best things we ever did, and now we've got 25 or 30 of Milton's biggest employers that are meeting monthly and talking about issues.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a really cool project.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so when it comes to running the team, what I was saying before is that chambers have this kind of interesting dynamic where you have a lot of stakeholders, and you got to be lean and mean with the way that you're not for profit, right? I mean,
Exactly.
you're not a charity, but you're not for profit. So budgets are tight. So what do you do as a leader inside an organization with a trim staff to get things moving, to get things done, and to get the team jazzed on what they're up to?
First of all, I've got a great staff. So we all know that we have to work hard, and we're not making huge amounts of money that we might in other professions, but we love what we're doing. We love supporting the business community, and so keeping the staff engaged and helping them understand exactly why we're doing things, why we're doing certain events, why we're bringing in certain politicians,
right,
why we're doing another event. Because that is how we make money. We make money on running events and special programs.
You guys had an economist in yesterday?
So we had the RBC economist Josh Nye in yesterday. Did a fantastic job talking about NAFTA and the world issues, but bringing it down to street level as well, so that people that are non-economists can understand it as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've been to many of these events with economists, and I typically, or at the beginning I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm going to this. But they do a really good job breaking it down.
There are some economists that struggle bringing it down to an understandable level, but the ones that we've attracted, and Josh yesterday did a phenomenal job, and he's a young guy as well, so definitely has a strong future with the banking community, with RBC. But we in terms of how we operate on a day-to-day basis, the staff are doing a lot of things, but we need volunteers, and we rely heavily on our volunteers to help plan our events, help to run the events. There's some people that aren't necessarily on the committee. They will also just volunteer for our sports celebrity dinner, for the awards dinner, for the golf tournament. So
in an environment, volunteerism is becoming ever more difficult. From like the bigger kind of not-for-profit world, there's trends and reports around people have less time. Volunteering is more difficult to get people engaged. So what are you guys doing to engage volunteers?
So I think we haven't felt that trend.
Awesome.
So we don't really. I mean, we always need more volunteers, but we try and make sure that the volunteers have fun in what they're doing, that they know the expectations and what's required of them, and we try not to overburden them. So you try and have little subcommittees or have people doing things that are more suited to their personality or to the amount of time that they do have.
Yeah, okay.
So, I think it's when you're running a business like we are, volunteers are kind of part of our team, part of the staff. So you're just using people strategically and playing to their strengths, not overburdening them and talking to them, making sure that when they're running into trouble.
Yeah, it sounds so simple when you break it down like that, but I think a lot of people miss out on these little ideas, like playing to their strengths, talking to them, making sure we're relevant in terms of what they have in terms of time and what they want to do. So
yeah, and part of it, everyone talks about millennials and how people, generationally are different in the way they approach things, and I embrace that. I love that.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that if we're trying to engage the millennials, that we do it in a way that's good for them.
Okay, that's a huge topic, right?
Yeah.
Millennials. It's like this,
that's another car ride.
Yeah, we got to just touch on it. Got to touch on it, right? Because from my perspective, I work with essentially 90% of our staff are millennials, and I couldn't be more excited to go to work every day. They're just eager to learn. They're eager to help each other. They're eager to do their best. It's really refreshing. I feel like we have this unbelievable team. I've worked in lots of organizations, and I just couldn't be more stoked with the group we've got. But there seems to be this negative connotation with the word millennials. It's almost like a swear word. So what are you doing to love working with them and engage millennials?
So again, I think the people that listen to the rhetoric or that believe some of the negative stories haven't been in the trenches with millennials.
Right. Haven't
tried to actually work with them. They're trying to force old systems onto a new generation.
Right.
Which I think is completely wrong. Right. So I don't think that we can. We in the chamber world we always talk about the fact that we're not our grandfather's chamber. So
Right.
chambers have evolved to match whatever is the new business model, whatever this is the new generation. So I think we get it to a great extent because we're dealing with change all the time, and because we need volunteers, we need to figure out a way to keep people engaged and keep them interested. So I find a great energy with young entrepreneurs, young professionals, and I feed off that. So
it almost seems like a mindset. Just want to work with them. It's exciting. And then work from there.
And Shan, it's how I stay young.
Yeah. Well, it's working for you, Scott. It's working.
Okay, thanks.
So, okay. Meat and potatoes then for a second.
Yeah.
Chamber.
Oh, I thought we were having lunch.
Bill 148.
Yeah, Bill, okay.
What's the deal? Everybody's up in arms. I was at at the Profit 500 conference in Toronto yesterday, and the BDC economist was there, and there was a guy from Deloitte who kind of broke it down and the impacts, and people are just not happy, not okay. So I think it's partially due to a lack of clarity and confusion in terms of what is all this stuff, what's actually going to happen. Right. But what's your take on it and what's going on with this?
So there are a lot of different pieces to Bill 148. The minimum wage increase is part of that. We were angry in the beginning because when Bill 48 was introduced and when they started doing consultation, minimum wage wasn't even part of it.
Right.
Wasn't even on the table. And it was just over a weekend, it suddenly became an issue. I back up a step and I'll tell you that the business community is not against a fair wage.
Right.
We think that people should be paid fairly. We think that over the years there probably should have been increases in the minimum wage. Right. So we probably are, below where we should be. Where we're concerned is the speed of change.
Right.
Right. It's happening too fast. Because businesses need time to react. In some cases, they may have long-term contracts if they're in a supply chain, so they can't change what they're charging their customers. In some cases, if you're a restaurant, it's very difficult to just arbitrarily increase your prices, right? Because people will go to a different restaurant. Yeah. So again, it's not that we don't want to pay a fair wage. We're just concerned about the speed of change and the impact that's going to have. And frankly, the consumers are going to feel it. Prices will increase. Yeah. People will.
It has to, right?
Yeah. Hours will be cut. Restaurants will be closed. A little bit more, so there will be less access to some retail. So the landscape is going to change, and as long as the consumer understands that, then that's fine. But I think what's going to happen is suddenly prices will have to increase because of Bill 148, and the general public will blame business.
Right.
And we're just reacting to what the government's doing. And you compound that with what the federal government's doing, Bill Morneau with all of his tax reforms. And it's just been a very confusing summer for business people.
Well, the biggest feedback I got yesterday was around this whole note on taxing passive income, and I put it in quotes because essentially a lot of businesses in the room I was in yesterday were talking about how they and us save money on the side. So that if a rainy day comes, we can take that and use it as capital, or if an opportunity for an acquisition comes up, or a new capital spend, whatever, we're not going to go for loans with interest rates. We're taking money that we've saved using the business's own retained earnings and capital. So,
because in some cases, when the economy gets tight, the banks won't loan you the money.
So it's not really passive income. It's more of like a capital storage.
It's capital storage. It's saving for a rainy day. A lot of during tough economic times, a lot of businesses close because they haven't planned. So why are we going to, take the money away from the people that have actually done the planning and save for a rainy day? Most bankers or economists will tell the general public, consumers, that they need to save a little bit, because if you own a home, something's going to go wrong. You're going to need a new roof. So you need access to money. If you can't get it from a bank, you have to have it yourself. So again, you're penalizing people that have planned.
Right.
And what we also say to people is, think about your mortgage. If you had a 30% increase in your mortgage, a lot of people would lose their houses. But that's the kind of thing that's happening to business with Bill 148, minimum wage increases, with the tax reforms that the federal government's talking about. It's increasing our mortgage to a point where we can't afford our house anymore.
So I think the consultation period just ended.
It ended October the 2nd, and we were trying to get them to extend the consultation. They refused. They've said that they've heard from enough people. So, we're expecting them to make changes. We hope that they've heard. Certainly the Chamber Network across Canada has been hugely engaged in this, trying to get the message across. And we knew a long time ago that this fight would not be a typical advocacy fight at, Parliament Hill or with the bureaucrats in Ottawa. This, for the federal tax reform, the issue is going to be fought at ground level in the constituencies, talking to each of the Liberal MPs and saying, this is how it's going to affect the people that vote for you.
In a big way.
And so that's been the big push, making sure that the local MPs understand exactly what's going on. We're lucky here in Milton because Lisa Raitt has been a huge supporter of ours in terms of fighting the tax reforms. But we need to get the message across to the Liberal MPs as well. So that's...
I'm curious. I'm not to say you'd know this, but are there... So, the old president of Chamber, Guelph Chamber, Lloyd, MP. Are there other MPs that were parts of chambers?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
Anyway,
there are a lot of MPs that are business people that have been involved in the chamber. Right. But Lloyd's unique in terms of having been a chamber manager that's gone on.
Okay, cool.
There are actually managers that have become mayors.
Right.
But not MPs that I know of.
Okay, fair enough. That's cool. So then if we break it down, what does someone do? A business owner, local level, what do I do to help kind of slow this down? Because, everybody's in the same boat. We want fair wages. The tax reform is kind of crazy. So what can one individual do about it?
I think basically let your local MP or MPP know how you feel. They're the ones that ultimately will be voting on the issue. If they're in caucus or part of the government, if they're in opposition, then they need to know your story so they can tell your story, in Ottawa or at Queen's Park.
Cool.
So just work with your chamber, make sure that everyone understands how it's going to affect your business. So either we're telling the story for you or you're telling the story directly.
Okay, that's great. So last thing, selfish promotion, chamber stuff, anything going on you want people to know about?
We're in busy planning season right now, so a big event coming up in February the 6th is our sports celebrity dinner.
Cool.
We bring in all kinds of athletes, hockey players, baseball players, and raise money for our scholarship fund because we give money to 7 local students every year.
Awesome.
So we've got that coming up.
Any notable people coming?
You know what? We're in the early stages now,
okay.
But last year we had Cito Gaston, we had Melissa Bishop, the Olympic runner, Rachel Holman, the curler.
Awesome.
So we always get a great lineup. RBC helps us too because they have a roster of Olympians, so they always bring
that's
some
great.
people along for us. So yeah, that's great. Planning for the golf tournament next year already. Community awards. We're all right now looking for nominations for our awards.
Oh, there's a good one. How do we nominate people for the community awards?
Look at our chamber website, miltonchamber.ca.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Awesome, Scott.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for doing this.
Pleasure.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.